Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hardboiled English Live. I'm your host, English instructor Paul Duke. We are streaming live from Vancouver, Canada, on the West Coast to wherever you are. Where is that? Let's start the show, guys, by having you tell me where you're watching from. Say hello, tell us your name, tell us what country you're in. This is a show where I answer your questions about English or anything else you want to talk about for that matter. It's a casual show. I want it to be interactive, so I've got little activities for you planned. Sometimes we bring guests on. Tonight, no guest. In fact, tonight, guys, I have a couple of questions that I didn't answer last week. I'm going to answer tonight, so stay with me. For those of you who don't know me, allow me to introduce myself a little bit. I am the creator and host of the YouTube channel Hardboiled English. Okay. On that channel, you can see all the recordings of these live shows. Every Saturday morning, I post them on the YouTube channel, so you can watch them in full if you missed them on Friday night. It is Friday night for me on the west coast of Canada, so if you're in Asia or in the Middle East, you might be on a different day. I'm also the creator of the video long-form series English Weirdness. Now, I made this series with my students, and these are a series of half-hour episodes, 30-minute episodes. Each one explores a different grammar issue that causes people a lot of confusion. We use dramatization, we use animation, and we have little story scenarios that give you the context of where things can go wrong when English structures are misused or misunderstood. Anyways, check that out. If you struggle with English grammar or sentence structure or syntax, English Weirdness is for you. Things are explained in full detail there, and you can learn a lot from it, I hope. I am also the creator of a brand new English writing workshop. It's called Teacher Paul's Writing Workshop, www.writingworkshop.thinkific.com. On this site, you can purchase online writing courses. Now, I'm just building my first one, but the plan is to make several, so that all the teaching I've done over the years in my writing classes are now available online to anyone, anytime around the world. Right now, they're going for a very low price because they're under construction, so check that out. I've also got some announcements coming up about some other projects taking place right here in Vancouver City. So if you're a student or an English learner in Vancouver, this summer, a colleague of mine and I are planning some really fun and interesting and innovative English learning activities. So check that out and stay tuned. Okay, let's see who's tuning in. Guys, forgive me, I'm alone tonight again. I don't have my engineer with me, so my mouse gives me a hard time. I'd like to say hello to Chris Derboven, who's watching from Belgium. Chris is a long-time regular viewer, so thanks for joining us as always, Chris. We have Stacy with us, Stacy Jean. Stacy Jean is in South Korea. Great. We also have, joining us from Egypt, Hala. Hopefully I'm saying your name right, Hala. Welcome to the show. I gotta say, guys, one of the things I love about doing this show on the internet is connecting with all of you, no matter where in the world you are. Just in the last three names, we've got Europe covered, we've got Asia covered, and the Middle East covered. So it's fantastic to see you all from so many different places. Joining us also is Hannah Kim. Hannah is in Alabama. That's in the US. Great. So it's always great to see so many people joining us from around the world. Who else is joining us? Oh, we have, where are you? My mouse. We have joining us Fayez from Palestine. Great to have you with us. We have Araceli from Mexico. And by the way, guys, recently Araceli celebrated her birthday. So, happy birthday, Araceli. Hopefully you had a great day, ate some cake, or did something fun to celebrate the amazing awesomeness that you are. Birthday is a time to think about what we've done, what we are, who we are, and our dreams. It's a good day to reflect on yourself. Celebrate the life you have and the things you do. Yes, happy birthday, happy birthday. Araceli is an English teacher in Mexico. She's often been with us here on the show, and one of these days I'm going to have her as a guest and find out more about her and what she does. So, great. Who else is with us? Well, one of the challenges, guys, with this show is getting the perfect time slot. For me, I need to do it in the evening because I work with private students all day long online. I do private tutoring and paper editing and stuff like that. So I need to do the show in my evening. Problem with that is, in my evening, it's Saturday morning for my Asian friends and Middle Eastern friends. So if I do it at 5 p.m. my time, it's pretty early in Asia. So for those of you who are with me early, waking up early, thank you. If I do it a little bit later in the evening, sometimes it's too late for my South American viewers and friends because they're 4 hours ahead. So, for example, when we have friends from Brazil watching right now, it's already 9 for them. So there's really no perfect time. Okay, so look, here's an example. Hala is in Egypt, and Egypt it's 2:07 a.m. Well, hey, thank you for either staying up late with us, Hala, or waking up early, whatever the case is. And we have Facebook user from Vietnam. That's another thing, guys. If you watch from a Facebook group, which is fine, you can watch the show, but if you comment, this is what I see. I don't see your name. So if you're on a Facebook group, great, but say hello and tell me your name. I think I know who this is, but yeah, 7 a.m. in Vietnam. So it's not bad. But on Saturday morning, hardworking Asian friends like to sleep in sometimes. Okay, so Araceli says, I celebrated at school and students sang for me happy birthday in English and in Spanish. Some students gave me some awesome presents. Great. I wish I could give you a present, and I wish I could sing for you, but I'm not going to because I'm a terrible singer. And I don't mind embarrassing myself, but not that much. Yes, we have Huang with us from Vietnam. Thank you, Huang. Great. And thank you for joining us. Okay, guys, I'm going to jump into the first segment. And every week, the first segment, I like to introduce some vocabulary. And this season, we're focusing on introducing adverbs. And today I've got a special one. Now, when we talk about adverbs, it's commonly believed that adverbs are words that end with ly, such as quickly, right? Or happily, or warmly, or cheerfully. Now, it's true there are a lot of adverbs that end with ly, but it's also true that not all of them do. A couple weeks back, for example, we saw the words yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Now, those might sound like nouns, right? Because they're days, but they're used as adverbs because they are adverbs of time. They tell us when something happened. For example, yesterday, what? I studied English. So if you just said, I studied English, people would say, when? When did you do that action? Well, yesterday. Yesterday, I studied English. That's when I did the action. So yesterday is an adverb. Today we're going to look at another one that's very confusing for a lot of people. So today I hope to unconfuse you. Now let me see if I got this right. Today's adverb is here. Now, a lot of learners think this word is a noun. For example, Paul, where are you? I am here in my room. So a lot of times they'll take the structure of I am in my room and repeat it with here. For example, I am in my room, and they'll just replace my room with here. I am in here. Now that is possible. It's possible to use it as a pronoun, right, to replace my room and substitute it. But more often it's used as an adverb like this. She comes here. Right? Every day she comes here. So if I say she comes or visits, right? And you say where? Here. Here is telling us where this happens. It's an adverb of direction. Now it sounds strange, right? But look at the definition according to the Oxford Learner's Dictionary, my preferred dictionary for using with my students. It means to do something, right? To do, right? So we have to have a verb. To do something in, at, or to this position or place. Now you can see the prepositions in, at, or to. They're inside the meaning. They're inside the meaning and definition. Therefore, you do not need them inside the sentence. Here contains the idea of in. So, sometimes I hear students say things like, I arrived to here yesterday, for example. Okay? They put a preposition here. But prepositions come before nouns. And this is not a noun, it's an adverb. For example, if I use the adverb quickly, if I said, I arrived quickly, we wouldn't put an adverb in front of that. We wouldn't say, I arrived too quickly or in quickly. You know that you cannot be in an adverb like quickly, so you can't be in an adverb like here. You just say, I arrived here in this town or country. Okay, I arrived here. She's taking the bus. She's taking the bus. Oh, really? Where? Here. It's an adverb of direction telling us where she's taking the bus. What direction? Okay? So now, guys, I want you to try using, where am I? I want you to try using this adverb here as an adverb in sentences like this. He is here, right? Paul is here. You are here with me, sort of, virtually. Or put an action verb here like she cooks. Oh, really? Where? Here. Not in here, not to here, here. Okay? Give it a try. Put it in the comment thread and we'll get it up on screen and take a look at how you do, okay? So give me a couple minutes and see what you can come up with. We'll get some examples up on the board here. Anyone have an example we should look at? Okay, we've got some coming in. Great. He surely was here a minute ago. Exactly. Was here, right? Not was to here, or what not was at here. Was here. Okay, Chris has an example. By the way, good example, Hala. Thank you. So it's the end of the school year, so I have to work late here, wherever that here is. Here you are. Good. Exactly. There's no preposition there because here is modifying the verb are. Stacy says, my dog is playing with a ball here. Good. Please come here to enjoy dinner with me. Good. You guys have this, no problem. Excellent work, guys. Excellent work. Anyone else have an example? Let's see what else you can come up with. Anyone? Don't be shy. Okay, we have another one from Stacy. I'm here to help my mother. Good. I'm here with you, right? Good job, guys. Well, for you, this clearly is not a problem. Hannah says, I'm participating in English lesson here. Good. Now you should also have the article an English lesson. I'm participating in an English lesson, but perfect use of here. Excellent. Thank you, Hannah. We also have Chris has another one. It's hot weather here in Belgium. Good. It's getting hot where I am. Our summer is arriving late, usually by mid-June or early June in Vancouver, where I live. It's usually very hot. However, we've had rain recently, which keeps it fairly cool. So we're late to get hot. Last summer we had a heat wave and the temperatures got up to 40 degrees. Yeah, this is a good question. So we say go there and come here, right? So look at the verb closely. When you go somewhere, you go from where you are to another place. When you come, if you say it, right, it depends on who says it. If I say, I go, I come, right? It depends on the position you're in, the location you're in. Come here, go there, right? There is usually pointing away from you. Here is usually pointing close to you, right, where you are. So the question is, can we say go here? It's possible if you're talking about someone else, right? You can say, it's a little awkward, but there is a way to say it. You shouldn't really say it though, right? Because if you're saying it to someone who's far away and you want them to travel or move, you're saying it from your point, so you want them to come to you here, because here is where you are. So it's pretty rare that you would say go here, okay? In fact, just avoid it. It doesn't really work, right? Oh, we have... Stacy says it's warm and humid here in Seoul. Good. I haven't been to Seoul in the summer. I have been in the winter. The winter is very lovely. I was there in 2018. It was very beautiful, but I imagine the summer is hot. I've been to Japan many times in the summer and it's extremely humid there. So I imagine the weather is probably similar. Fayez says the time here in Gaza is very late. It is 3:20 a.m. Good. So here the adverb here is modifying is. The time here is very late. Good job, guys. Okay, I'm going to move on because I have lots of questions to answer, guys. So thank you. That's our vocabulary work for the day. If you'll give me a moment, I'm going to clear the board. And I'm going to put a question up that we had from last week. Where is it now? Yeah, here we go. So this is one of several I didn't finish answering last week. Now this one, I needed to research the lyrics because I was not familiar with the lyrics to this song. This is from the REM song, Everybody Hurts. Now I know the song, but I don't know it intimately enough to know the lyrics. So what I did was I created a graphic so we can pop it up here. And where is it here? So the song lyrics say, 'cause everybody hurts. And you see the little apostrophe right here in front of cause? The reason is this is an ellipsis, a cut off word. The full word they really mean is because. Because everybody hurts. Sometimes you hear people say in speech, 'cause. I even say it. It's 'cause everybody hurts. Well, that's how you spell that, and it's really because with the front half of it cut off. I don't recommend using it. It's kind of slang. It's kind of informal, but you'll hear it. So anyways, the lyric says, "'Cause everybody hurts, take comfort in your friends. Everybody hurts." And then it says, "Don't throw your hand. Oh no, don't throw your hand. If you feel like you're alone, no, 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 you are not alone." So this song is talking about loneliness, sadness, and this idea here of don't throw your hand. The metaphor of hand comes from playing cards, like poker game, right? And in poker, you have a bunch of cards in your hand, and that's called the hand of cards, right? It's a hand full of cards. And you have, diamonds, hearts, clubs, kings, queens in the cards. And whatever combination you have is called your hand. And to throw your hand means you're finished. You give up. I'm out. I'm throwing my hand on the poker table because you know it's a bad hand and you don't want to lose money or whatever you're gambling. So that expression, "don't throw your hand," means don't give up. Oh, where am I? Don't give up, right? Don't throw your hand. Because in poker, if you throw your hand, that means you quit the game. You're finished. You're out of the game. You don't have any more chance. Here, because it's a song about loneliness or sadness, they mean don't give up on life, right? Don't give up. You're not alone. There's someone else who knows what it's like to feel lonely or sad, So it means don't give up. Oh no, don't throw your hand. Don't give up. Don't give up on life. Keep trying, right? Something bad happens. Don't give up and hide away. Keep working on whatever it is, try again. So that's what that means. It's a good question. I can't remember who asked it, but thank you for asking it. Don't throw your hand, meaning don't give up. And it's a very nice song from REM. Okay, so I'm going to take that graphic down. And let's find the other question. Okay, so this one. Okay, hang on a second here. Chris has a question. $3.20. Well, Fayez, thank you for staying up so late to be with us. I appreciate the effort. Thank you. Yes, so Stacy, this is a great example. Why don't you visit here and see your grandparents from time to time? Good sentence. Very good. So Chris has a question. What means do we have a roof? That's a good question. From the looks of it, roof is the top of a house, right? If you have a house, this is the roof. Sorry, my pen is fading. These pens seem to fade it lately. Okay, let me try again. Right, that's the roof. So that's a roof, and what does a roof do? It stops rain, it stops snow, or if there's a hurricane and there's rocks flying, it stops things from hitting the people inside. Right? It provides shelter. So shelter means safety from nature, from the weather, from the elements. So I think the metaphor is a roof equals shelter or even safety. So if you're talking about, do we have a roof? I've never actually heard that expression, but I'm trying to figure it out based on metaphoric principle. If we say, do we have a roof, sounds like one of two meanings. One is the literal meaning, meaning, do we have a roof on our house? That's literally what the word means. Do we have a roof? No, we don't. Well, we better get one. And the metaphoric meaning would be shelter or safety, because that's what a roof provides. So, do we have a roof could mean, do we have shelter or safety? Now, The more common expression that I have heard is, do you have a roof over your head? That's a common configuration of that. Do you have a roof over your head? And what that means is quite simply, do you have a home? Do you have some place to live, sleep with some degree of shelter? So again, it means shelter. It just emphasizes that it's there to protect you while you sleep or while you eat or do anything you want in your home. It implies the idea of safety. I hope that explains that, Chris, but I'm not sure because I've never actually heard someone say, do we have a roof? Except, does your house have a roof? Now, I don't know about you in Belgium or anywhere else for that matter. However, in Canada, if you live in a house with no roof, you're in trouble. Because in Canada, it snows. And you're going to wake up in the morning with a lot of snow over you. It snows in the winter. It doesn't snow 24/7. Right now it's hot and sunny and beautiful and tropical. But in the winter it snows and you need a roof. So in my country, if you don't have a roof, you are in trouble. Okay. It was about class management, so safety as possible. Okay. Now there's a different expression. I'm not saying you have them confused, Chris, but roof is the top of a house or a building. But if you're in a room, this is the ceiling, right? The ceiling. It's the limit to the room. So my ceiling is up here, and I can almost touch it, right? And that's the next floor of my apartment building. So that's the ceiling. Now we use that word to mean the inside limit of the room, but it also is used to mean a social or economic ceiling. So for example, we hear a lot about the ceiling on someone's career. Like if you are, I don't know, a junior manager, maybe you become a middle manager and a senior manager, but the ceiling is you won't be the owner of the company. You won't. The owner is up here alone, right? So the ceiling limits you. So we can talk about the ceiling of something being the upper limit, as high up as you can go. So for example, if you are an English teacher, there is a ceiling to how much money you can earn, how much salary you can earn. Most schools have a kind of same salary offer. And no matter what school you work at, you're going to teach and you're going to hit a ceiling. There's going to be a limit to how much money you can earn. So we often hear about the ceiling. There's another term called the glass ceiling, which is used to describe the limit in some societies placed on women particularly. Because for some women in some societies, there is a limit, but the limit is arbitrary. It's not biological, it's not physical, it's not related to their job performance. It's related to the fact that the men have these positions and the women have these positions, and they can see the men's positions. So this limit is glass. They can see that job, and they know they can do that job, but the society or the company won't allow them to go through the glass ceiling. So that's another place you hear that. But roof, I'm not sure. Okay, guys, I'm going to answer the question I had about subjunctive. Everyone wonders what's subjunctive. So the question this viewer asked last week was about subjunctive, and specifically, how should I use subjunctive and when? What situation requires subjunctive? Okay, so let's talk about that. Well, first of all, what the hell is subjunctive? Subjunctive is a form of verb inflection or verb use. used in Old English, right? Old English. Hundreds of years ago English, not modern English, right? Languages change, cultures change, societies change, and language changes with it. For those of you students who are in your 20s, you use language quite differently than I did when I was in my 20s. Right? We had our own expressions and slang, and we said different expressions that you probably wouldn't understand now. The same way you use expressions your parents don't understand. But I might, because I study languages. Okay, so what is subjunctive? There are kind of three meanings of subjunctive. But the main idea is, in Old English, they needed a way to make a sentence that was not a simple statement of fact, right? Because, language represents our reality. It represents our ability to describe our reality, describe our experience. And we realize that sometimes we say things that are not statements of fact. There's other things, there are other meanings we need to communicate, such as imagination, things that we imagine, or things that we dream of or desire but do not have right now. So a statement of fact would be like, I have a pen. That's a statement of fact. I have a pen. You have a show to watch. I give you this show to watch. She has a room. Okay? That's a simple statement of fact. But we know that in life, in reality, we also communicate other things with a sentence that are not statements of fact. For example, mandates. What's a mandate? Oops, sorry guys. Somehow, the screen is narrower than usual. I'm not sure why that is. How's that? Yeah. So let's call this the mandative subjunctive. Mandative means you have to do it, right? The government tells us to do something. We've heard a lot recently about vaccine mandates. If you want to fly in an airplane, you have to have a vaccine evidence, passport or whatever they call it. So that's mandates. Mandates are things you have to do. Someone tells you to do them. You're familiar with the forms like imperative, right? Stand up, sit down, move that book, right? When we start with the verb, that's imperative. That's a direct order. Now, we have a softer version of an order called the mandative subjunctive. Okay? It's not quite a direct order, but it's a strong, strong mandate for you to do something. And in Old English, they needed a way to make that clear and different than a statement of fact. That's why we have all these different grammar forms, because each one expresses a different idea or different meaning or different level of a similar meaning, right? We need all these things because that's reality, that's life, and we're trying to express our life and what we see and experience. So this is why grammar is important, right? When you're trying to learn a language, understanding different grammar structures is important. Now, I will say this, and I believe Cleonice from Brazil, who's just joined us, I think, Cleonice, did you ask this question about subjunctive? I think you said, when should I use it? Well, the truth is, subjunctive is kind of fading away. It does come from Old English, but in modern English, it's not used that much. People with a high degree of education, university degree people, they tend to know subjunctive because they need to understand it because they read a lot of older books, right? Old classics, old texts, research material. You have to read that stuff and you have to understand it. And older English features subjunctive. Okay, so what is mandative? Here's an example. I demand, right? I demand. I demand. Now, it's not imperative. It's not an order. If it were, it would start with the verb. It starts with the subject I. I demand. And it starts like a normal statement, right? I demand. And by the way, this could be past tense. This is your main verb. So it could be past tense, it could be future tense, it could be any tense. It's the main verb. But when you demand something, that means you really strongly want the other person to do it. You insist, you demand. That's mandative form. Now what? I demand what? What is it you demand? So we need an object, right? We need an object. I demand a pen. That's possible. But that's not what we're doing here. We're doing something a little different. We're doing subjunctive. So it's going to look like this. I demand that you leave. So this sounds like a strict teacher. I demand that you leave, Paul. You're too loud in class. I demand, so this is my teacher talking when I was a kid. I demand. What do you demand, teacher? That you leave. So here we have a separate idea. We have a separate clause, right? We have a subject and a verb of its own. This is basically a noun clause. It's a clause acting as the object. And as I said, this is the main verb of the sentence, the main action of the whole idea. And this verb can take the tense, past tense, present perfect, any tense, future tense, whatever you want. But this verb is inside the object. It's inside the object clause. So this verb doesn't change, right? It doesn't change. I demanded that they leave, he leave, you leave, or sorry, we have you. What if we had everyone, right? This doesn't change. If you had that verb here and you said I leave, she leaves, they leave, everyone leaves, you would change it to match the subject. Here you do not. That is the subjunctive structure, because that verb is happening inside the object. So only this verb gets inflected. Only that verb takes on the tense. And it could be also other words like beg, insist. What else do we have? We have things like I suggest, I urge, I recommend, right? These are all mandates. These are, I want these things to happen strongly. It's not an order, but it's one little bit less than an order. I really need these things to happen and I need you to do it, right? So that's the subjunctive. The verb in here doesn't change. And it can be any verb, by the way. Let's look at another example. My doctor recommended, past tense, that I be strict with pizza. I eat too much pizza. Look closely at this. I be? That sounds like really bad English. It's the kind of English you might hear in a music lyric or in a, like an Instagram meme. She be chillin'. I be strict. It's terrible grammar, right? You guys know that it should be I am strict, but this is subjunctive. The main verb is here. Sorry, I'm going to move this graphic. The main verb is here. Doctor, my doctor, recommended. So this one can be past tense, it can be future, it can be anything. Recommended what? And then this whole clause here is the object. So inside the object, this doesn't change. It doesn't change if we have she or he, they be. That sounds weird, right? It should be they are. Or she is, or she was. But inside the object, that doesn't change. This is the subjunctive. And it's used to create the meaning of a strong mandate, a strong insisting, right? Yes, this Facebook user says, do we call them bare infinitive? Yeah, inside the object we have the bare infinitive. Sorry guys, my mouse doesn't work well. Yeah, so be or leave, these are the bare infinitive forms of the verb. They don't change. Inside the object, okay? Now, when should we use this? Well, I use it because I've studied language and I've read the old books, and I can see that this has a reason to exist. This communicates this feeling of strong mandate, right? If we don't have this, it's just going to sound like a statement. You're going to lose the meaning of the strong mandate. It's just going to be a statement of fact. That's the problem with these old forms if we lose them. They do express a meaning, right? A specific meaning that's different than the other meaning we have. So we have a reason for these different forms. The problem is, not everyone uses them anymore. And sometimes in a culture, influential people who don't know how to use it influence the culture. A pop star, for example, who never went to school, and there's lots of them. You know, Justin Bieber, I think he didn't finish high school. But when he sings, everyone listens, and language learners listen to his lyrics and think that's perfect English. He's a native speaker. He must speak perfect English. It's not true. Maybe he doesn't use subjunctive. So, a lot of people learn their English that way, and they pick up those habits, and over time, a culture can lose these kind of forms. Whether that's good or bad, time will tell. I think there's a reason to learn this, and there's a reason to use it. Because look what happens if we tense this verb. I demanded that you left. You left, past tense. Well, how can I demand it if you're already left? Now we have an impossible scenario. So, you know, the subjunctive has its place. I think you should learn it. But I will tell you that it's fading away from general use. As time goes on, as cultures change, language changes too. And this is one of the things that's being lost. Is that good or bad? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. What happens when we lose a certain grammatical structure and we can't express that meaning? What happens when you can't express a certain meaning? What happens when we lose a word for something? If we lose a word for something, does that thing stop existing? Maybe. The word or a structure gives us something to connect to a meaning in our minds. I think that's an important connection we should be careful to throw away. Now, there's another meaning of subjunctive, and it's called volitional. Volitional is related to the word volition, which is related to the idea that you want something. It's your free choice. So here's an example of a volitional subjunctive. I wish, right? And this is the main verb. So we can tense it in any tense we want. Right? I wish, and again, it could be past tense. I am wishing, whatever. Doesn't matter. This can take the tense. What do you wish? Well, I wish something, so we need an object. Something or thing is an object. So what do you want to wish for? I wish that I wish that I were a bird. Oh, sorry, I'm going to change the color on that to make it distinct. I wish that I were a bird. That's what I wish. Is that real? No, of course not. I'm not a bird. I'm a human. I cannot be a bird. I can fly, but I can't be a bird. That's impossible, according to the laws of this world. I can wish it though, right? I can imagine it. I can even draw a picture of it. I could make an animated movie. I could make a special effects movie and see myself fly. It's possible in our imagination. So that's why we need subjunctive, to describe things in our imagination that are possible there, but that are not possible as a statement of fact. So what if I change that to am? I wish that I am a bird. Well, that's weird because now you're saying I am a bird. We need that structure for when we are actually expressing a statement of fact. I am a teacher. I am Paul. We don't want that. We want something different that signals to us that this is imaginary. I wish that I were a bird. Of course, I'm not, so I can't fly. But it's a wish. It's an imaginary hypothetical situation. And this is why we also see this with conditional language, conditional structure, right? You might see something like, if I were a bird, I could fly. Where? Well, I could fly anywhere. It'd be easy to travel, right? So here we have, I were a bird. That's the subjunctive. And in a conditional sentence, that clause, the if clause, is a subjunctive structure. Why? Because this is not real. This is imaginary. And so is this, because of this word. If I were a bird, and I can imagine it, I'm not a bird, I'm a human, I think, but if I were a bird right now, what's possible? If I were a bird right now, I could fly anywhere. Now I'd stay with you guys on the show, but afterwards I might fly to, I don't know, one of your countries to eat some delicious food, right? So we need the subjunctive to use in conditional sentences too. And I think that's important, right? So Stacy's asking, can I say, I wish I was a bird? Now, Stacy is asking the kind of question a lot of students ask me, which is, can't we say? Well, you can say whatever you want, right? You can say whatever you want. There's no police force that's going to arrest you for saying something that's not accurate grammar. But as I mentioned, subjunctive comes from Old English, and English is changing. So it is true, a lot of people say this. I wish I was a bird. Now, if you look closely, that clause says I was a bird. That's a statement of fact. Last year, I was a bird. Now I'm human again. We need that grammar to state facts. This is stating a fact, but it should be subjunctive to express the idea that it's not a statement of fact, it's hypothetical, it's volitional, it's a dream, it's imaginary. So we have a problem when we're using the same grammar to try to communicate reality, a statement of fact, and imagination. It's better if we have two different grammars for different meanings. So, can't we say that? Yeah, of course you can. You can say whatever you want. And many people are. That's my point. In modern English, many people are saying this. Now, textbooks will tell you it's not correct. Old-fashioned teachers will tell you it's not correct. I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is, lots of people say that, but it is a statement of fact. Okay? So, for example, if I talk to a language learner who's pretty new or beginner at English and I say, I wish I was a bird, they might only hear this part and say, you were a bird, teacher? When? Right? It might be confusing because that is used, I was, I was eating pizza yesterday, right? I was is a statement of fact, past fact, but it's a statement of fact. That's not what we want here. We want, I wish I were a bird. And by the way, yes, this is optional. We can drop that. I wish I were a bird tells us This is not true. This is not possible. It's not statement of fact grammar. And that tells us this is imaginary. It's not real. Now, obviously, in examples like, I wish I were a bird, you know it's impossible that I can be a bird. So it's obviously imaginary. And that's why people say this, because it should be obvious you were never a bird. What if you said this? I wish I was a teacher. I was a teacher. That sounds exactly like a statement of fact, right? Because it's possible to be a teacher. It's possible that in the past you were a teacher and you changed your job. That's possible. That doesn't communicate imagination, doesn't communicate like an alternate reality. That's a statement of fact. So when you say, I wish I was a teacher, were you a teacher or not? It could be confusing, okay? So can you say it? Yeah, of course you can. You can say whatever you want. But I think it's useful to learn the subjunctive, right? And by the way, many people do say that. Many native speakers say that. And their teachers might say that's not correct. A lot of native speakers use terrible English. That's a fact. But if you're learning English, I recommend that, I don't insist, but I recommend that you learn the subjunctive. For no other reason, except, if no other reason, use it in the conditional, because that's important. In a conditional, you're absolutely trying to express that this is a dream, this is imaginary, right? If I had $1 million, I would buy a new car. I don't have $1 million. That's an imaginary situation. It's an imaginary condition. So, in summary, do we need the subjunctive? No, we don't need anything. Do we want the subjunctive? I do. And I want you to have it because it is useful. I think it's important to have different language for different meanings, right? Because if we use the same language for 5 different meanings, those meanings don't mean anything anymore, right? This is called a pen. But if I called everything a pen, what would happen? This is a pen, right? This is a pen. Maybe, maybe this is a pen. Maybe this is a pen, right? If we called everything a pen, what would happen? If I asked you, excuse me, could you pass that pen? I can't reach it. I might get the cup. I might get the bottle. I might get the ruler. Or I might get the damn sword. So, just like we need different words for specific meanings to refer to specific objects, we want specific grammar structures to refer to different meanings. Because, especially with a sentence, especially with grammar, because it's not just one word, one object, it's a complicated meaning, right? A sentence expresses a complicated meaning, complex idea. So I think the subjunctive is worth learning, right? We have Tirath with us, and Tirath is from Nepal, by the way, for those of you who don't know him. I wish I could meet you in person. Thank you. Tirath, one day we will meet in person, and we'll have a dinner together. Yes, Tirath is in Nepal. Tirath was a guest of a show once before, so he's been here. He's a friend of the show, a frequent viewer, and a respected teaching colleague. Chris says, thank you so much for helping with that mysterious roof. Yes, you're welcome. Now, I've got to get to another question. Where is it now? Yes, my friend Roni asked this question last week. So I'm going to clear the board and give you a minute to think about the question. So Roni is in Bangladesh, and he's a longtime viewer of the show, and he always has great questions. And for some reason, every time he asks a question, it's a little bit late in the show, and I often don't have time to answer it. So I want to make sure to answer this one for him. But I don't see him watching, so I think he's going to have to watch the recording. Okay, so Roni's asking, how can I turn this into a complex sentence? Seeing the tiger, I got scared. Well, first of all, it's already somewhat complex. As usual, I like to break it down and look at the parts. Seeing the tiger, I got scared. Period. So what do we have here? Let's examine it. Well, this is our main clause, and we've got a subject, a verb, and we've got an adjective here. Or you could also consider this a get passive. But the scared here, even though it looks like a past participle, it's really describing the subject. It's describing the feeling of a subject. Over here, we have basically an adverbial phrase, right? I saw the tiger, I got scared. Two ideas, right? But because this is starting here, we change this to gerund form, and tiger is the animal that scared me. So it's kind of another subject. So it's already got two ideas here. That's complexity. So when teachers or test takers tell you, make a complex sentence, what they're talking about, oh, hi Roni, Roni's joined us. When they say make it complex, what they're talking about is quite simple. More than one idea. Okay, that's what complex means in English. Complex means more than one idea. And in English, an idea is expressed as a clause, right? Made of a subject and a verb, at least. That's the minimum. You need a subject and a verb. So I can say things like this. I slept. That's a complete idea. It creates a picture in your mind. It's a short sentence. It's not very much information, but it is a clause. It's got a subject and a verb. Okay? Now, I can make that complex. Right now, it's simple. It's one idea. But I could make it complex. I could add another idea. And you do that with conjunctions, right? For, and, nor, yet. Wait a minute. Conjunctions. Fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Coordinating conjunctions can join sentences and make complexity. So I slept and she worked. Right? My wife worked during the time I slept. So I slept and she worked. That's a different idea. I slept is different than she worked. It's the opposite basically, right? Now you have a complex sentence, Roni. I slept and she worked. Or we could change that to but to show a contrast. I slept, but she worked. Right? This sentence is already containing two ideas, so it's already complex. But we can make it more complex. We can add a conjunction. Seeing the tiger, I got scared, and I ran away. Right? I ran away. Oh, let me get the graphic out of there. Right? So look at the idea we have now. We have seeing the tiger, which is the idea that I saw the tiger. I got scared. My feeling changed. And then I did another action. I ran away. We have a subject, a verb. Oh, and we have an adverb. Away. Now it's a complex sentence. It combines more than one idea. More than one idea. And you can keep going. You can go on forever. Seeing the tiger, I got scared and ran away. But I only ran for 1 kilometer, then stopped because I was tired period. Now you have a very complex sentence. Seeing the tiger, I got scared. And I ran away. 3 ideas. Continue. But I only ran for 1 kilometer. A 4th idea. Then I stopped because I stopped. 5th idea. Because why? I was tired. 6 ideas. All in 1 sentence. That's a complex sentence. So, Roni, how do you make a sentence complex? Add another sentence. Use conjunctions, right? Use subordinating conjunctions like because or however, right? These connect ideas together to form a complex sentence. Now, you don't always have to do that. In English, we want to see a variety of sentence lengths. A long sentence like this, especially if you're writing, after that, you want to put a small sentence, like, because I was tired. Then, comma, the tiger ate me. The tiger ate me. Short sentence, dramatic. Seeing the tiger, I got scared and I ran away, but I only ran for 1 kilometer, then stopped because I was tired. Then, the tiger ate me. See how that rhythm comes to a stop with the dramatic sentence there? That's complexity. Adding sentences and ideas together to form a larger idea. In this case, a kind of little story, right? Roni, I hope that answers your question, because we're just about out of time for the day. So, just want to make sure I haven't missed anyone that joined. Roni is here. Facebook user. Nice to see you, Paul. Listening to your classes makes me practice my listening. Hope to see you again. Facebook user, who are you? Right? When you watch from a Facebook group, you can see us, but when you comment, I can't see your name. So, but I could only run, I only could run 1 kilometer. Yeah, it's not a lot. Now, I'm not saying that's reality. It's just a sentence. It's just what I thought about. Somebody was really tired if you can only run 1 kilometer. Now, I'm an old guy. I've got, bad legs from years of playing sports, but I think I can run more than 1 kilometer. And you young folks out there, if you can only run 1 kilometer, not good. Stay healthy. Get out there and run some more. You should be able to run many kilometers. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to finish up because it's time to melt. It gets very hot here in the Hard-Boiled English studio. So I'd like to say thank you to you all for joining us this week. If I didn't answer your new questions, I'm sorry. Next week we'll have more time. I think I've caught up all my outstanding questions from previous weeks. So next week we can take all the time to talk about fresh topics and fresh questions that you have. Just a reminder, guys, check out my new writing workshop online. It's www.writingworkshop.thinkific.com. Thinkific is the course platform that hosts them. Check them out. They are now selling for very low price because they're under construction, but the price will increase, I think, next month. So get it while you can. It's $20, which it's pretty affordable for most people in most countries. Also, guys, I hate to do this because it's not my style. Like, it's not my nature, but I want to keep bringing this show to you every week. My dream with this show was to have a place where people can ask questions to a teacher, especially for those of you who don't have access to a teacher where you live. When the pandemic struck the world, and my country included, I knew that everyone was staying at home alone and they couldn't go to class, and I wanted to reach them. So I created this show. And I want it to be a free weekly live show. Now, this show is free for you, but it's not free for me. It costs me a lot of money to produce this show every week. It costs me money in equipment. It costs me money in subscribing to streaming software, all that stuff. So, if you feel generous, there's a way you can contribute and support our show so we can keep producing it. There's a website called Buy Me a Coffee. That's the name of the website. www.buymeacoffee.com/hardboiled. And there you can make a small donation. It doesn't matter how much, $5, $2, whatever. Buy me a coffee. All of that money goes to supporting this show. I don't put it in my pizza budget. I don't go and buy glamorous Ferraris with it. It's for the show because the show costs a lot of money to make. So if you feel generous, I'm not saying you have to. I'm not mandating it. I'm not insisting it. And that's the thing. I don't want to have to charge admission for the show. There are some live shows where people have to pay money just to watch it. I want the show to be free for you. So those of you who are generous in mood, consider making a donation to our show. It'll help keep this thing going. And if you do, I thank you very much. Is much appreciated. So that's Buy Me a Coffee, www.buymeacoffee.com/hardboiled. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful to be with you again this Friday, Saturday for some of you. For those of you like Hala in Egypt staying up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., thank you for doing that. Chris also in Belgium. For those of you waking up super early to catch me in East Asia, thank you. For those of you in North and South America and Europe who are late at night with us, thank you for joining us. It's always a great pleasure to be with you. It's always a great pleasure to help you learn English because, that is my dream. I don't do this because I like the attention. I actually don't. I don't like being looked at or watched. I'm not someone who wants the attention. I do this because it's a way to help you. That really is the reason for this show. So, until we meet again, I want you all to take care. I want you guys to stay healthy. I want you to keep learning English, keep studying. Try the subjunctive. Do some research online about subjunctive, right? Keep thinking of questions to ask next show, right? And until I see you again, I want you all to stay cool.